it's like that, 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 it's like that. It's like I had my back against the wall, no pocket to hold a wallet, no family to call upon to do a solid. Stuck inside Sodom with a ticket to Gomorrah, unsure of the strength of the Lord if I will see tomorrow. Cause time is only borrowed and I can't waste a second of it. Seeing death and resurrected to the second coming, fiending from the stomach for food, water, and shelter. Submerged in the slaughter with nobody to help. It's like that, it's like that.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the JPC Frequency Podcast. I am here today with a special guest, Sean. What's going on, bro?
What's up, bro?
Thank you for coming by the spot.
Appreciate the invite.
First pod in the new spot, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, I really like the setup.
Hell yeah, I appreciate you, man. And so Sean is a content creator. He is a I don't know. Do you say rapper, or what would you call yourself as far as like music wise?
Man, I just bunch it all up as artists.
Artist.
It's all art at the end of the day. Writing, rapping, content creating. It's all just putting stuff together. So
we'll start there.
Yeah. So started with Poster Shot, which is mostly just me analyzing film, music, in some occasions. And then late last year, just talking to my nephew, we're both into sports. So we started something where we discuss boxing. It's called Feint the Facts. So yeah, 2 YouTube channels at the moment.
Yeah, we'll kind of pick apart each one. So we'll start off with the film and kind of music channel, your Poster Shot.
Cool.
I know whenever I first was listening to it, I got the sense that you actually, like, you don't just watch movies, you analyze them. And
yes.
And the way you put that together, man, it's crazy, bro. Because I watch a lot of channels that'll do that, and they'll just kind of tell you this is what happened through the movie.
I've done that too. I've done that as well. Like, I got a popular video that I've done that with. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I like that. Like, I like the ending explains, because sometimes they're like, what just happened? And then like they'll go in and tell me. But you're good at that. Like, you're really articulate with that. So what kind of got you started with film and wanting to analyze and discuss it?
That's just childhood stuff. Like, most of the stuff I'm talking about are films that I like grew up with, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I got this I guess the overall goal is like, okay, all right, I got this saying in some of my videos where it's like, okay, all right, I'm going to tell you about this film and how it affects me as a person. Like, I say that a lot in the video, and then I'll tie in like, okay, all right, if I'm not just talking about the film, if I'm not just analyzing the film, then I'll like tie it into myself in some way. I'd be like, okay, all right, well, this is where I was when this film came out, or, oh, this film had this effect on me at a young age. So it's really just kind of like calling back. It's like nostalgia films. It's not like new, it's not up-to-date films. I'm not going to the theater and like, hey, this review. I mean, I've done current media before, like TV shows, stuff like that, a film called Annette. But for the most part, I'm just like, yo, man, I remember this film when I grew up. Like, this shit was crazy. Like, or do you remember this? It's just like one of those things. I could talk to my brother about something. Like, we got like inside jokes on films. It's like stuff like that. So, and then it's even kind of blending those things together as well, because you will get someone who's explaining a film that's more current, but you don't see too many people exploring a film that may have came out like 20 years ago. Like how the high fidelity breakdown. Like, okay, all right, cool. Let me break this particular film down, certain things. So film has just always kind of been there for me. Like, always went to the movies when I was a kid. My dad was big on films. So there was just a lot of things that I guess like today's kids just wouldn't get away with watching that we got away with watching.
Yeah.
So like my dad would take me to the theater. He would take me to rated R movies. Like, I saw like a lot of rated R movies and films. I don't know if that's normal in today's society, but it was very normal in the 90s to go to the movies and go see Scream or go see like some scary movie or something like that, or some action movie. So Yeah, man, it's just one of those things, man. It's always been in my life. Always wanted to make film, wrote screenplays before. So film has just always kind of just been like a fascination with me. It's just an art form that I've always kind of understood, always had a fascination with.
Yeah, and you said something about like you don't just do mainstream, you do more like obscure movies. A lot of them I haven't even seen. So like there's like a lot. If I just go back through your video catalog, it's like damn, I got like 15, 20 movies that
Yeah.
I need to go watch, you know. And like I'll start listening to you talk about it. I'm like, damn, I got to stop this because I want to go watch it first.
Yeah.
And then come back to the video.
That's another thing I wanted to do. I wanted to like, because when I grew up fortunate. We had cable. Like not a lot of kids. Talking to a lot of people today, they tell me like, oh, they didn't have cable growing up. So I'm very fortunate. So I would sit there. My parents really didn't monitor me that much, so I would just watch whatever I wanted to watch. So back in the day, a lot of indie channels like IFC, Sundance, before they were playing commercials. But yeah, they had all these obscure kind of indie movies that came out in the 90s, like some, I don't want to go off in a tangent as far as like, oh, this, and this. But there's a lot of films that like, all right, I haven't gotten to yet that I'm ready to get to, as far as like talking about it on the channel at some point. But yeah, man, just I want to tackle something. It's so crazy because what's gonna get you popular, like in content creation, is following the herd, right? Like there's a lot of people that might make a video on a particular topic because that topic is hot. Me, I'm like, no, I'm digging for something that's not there for the most part. Like I've always wanted to talk about American Psycho and Fight Club, but there's like a ton of videos on YouTube about American Psycho and Fight Club. So I was like, oh man, I don't want to, but man, I got this take on it. But so many people have tackled these films, but it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna bite the bullet, and I've always wanted to talk about it. I'm gonna think about it until I actually do it. So I did it just like, as far as like, okay, right, how these two films kind of compare and contrast, or how they're like they're like the polar opposites of a spectrum. You know what I'm saying? Like they're on the complete different ends as far as the mentality of a person. So I wanted to kind of like say how that affected me looking at those films at a young age, and how that kind of like shaped my mentality as far as like, okay, all right, cool. I want to have a Fight Club mentality. I don't want to get caught up in the herd on a American Psycho mentality, you know? So I don't know. It's just stuff like that. Like look at it something different. Look at it different. So, and that could be a reason why the channel hasn't grown as fast, because I am tackling things that are not popular. Like no one's going to be searching for like a film that came out like in 2001 for the most part. But, you know, you got that one person, they'll find me and they'll be like, oh, all right, that's dope. And then they'll subscribe. So it's a slow growth, but like I said, I'm not hurting. I love it either way.
You're doing it like for the love of the film, you know, so that it's kind of a passion.
Yeah.
So that's dope, man. And I read the comments, and that's like some of the key ones that I'll see is like, hey bro, like thank you for doing this movie. Nobody's talking about this movie.
Yeah.
It's not, I think I read something that's like, it's not algorithm friendly. You know,
Yeah,
for like,
yeah. And I call that out in that video, and I think that's why they probably referenced that. So I was like, that was a pretty cool comment. So whoever did that comment, if you're watching this, appreciate you. But yeah, man, just I like when people call out that I'm calling out obscure films that aren't getting a lot of shine.
yeah.
Because American Psycho, I love that film. Fight Club, I love that film, but everyone loves that film. Like, where are the films that people aren't talking about too much that I can reference? And sometimes that takes some time because it's all in my brain. It's all just like, okay, all right. It's all just like, do I remember this? Okay, all right. Did this film actually say something meaningful that I want to make a video about? Or is it just nostalgia? So it goes either way. Like I do different formats in videos. Like some of them are explained videos. Some of them are analytical. Some of them are just like reviews of the film. But yeah, that's kind of where it is. Same thing with music. So yeah, it's all obscure. It's not something that you're going to be like, it's not like, okay, right, let me check out the specs on the new iPhone. You know, that's going to get hits like crazy. So yeah, it's a slow growth, but I like it because I feel like it's like you have to find me.
Yeah, yeah, and you're kind of like in your own pocket. So that's dope, man. So keeping it on film before we move off of that, let's talk about your screenwriting, because so not only are you analyzing and watching it, you're actually putting pen to paper and like, coming up with ideas. So did that kind of start around the same time as like the channel, or did you kind of start writing that first, or how'd that process go?
I wrote my first screenplay in 1999, bro.
1999. What was it?
What was it?
Yeah, if you could remember.
It was, which one was it? I still have these screenplays at my house, by the way. I should have brought those.
Right.
But it's like 4 or 5 scripts. Granted, like I'm wearing my influences on my sleeves at this point. Like I'm barely a teenager at that point. So there's a lot of Andrew Kevin Walker. That's the guy that wrote Seven. He wrote 8mm with Nicolas Cage. He wrote Brain Scan. There's a lot of a little bit of Charlie Kaufman in there. So I'm kind of pulling scenes from those and blending my own films into at that time. But when I started like looking at my own ideas for screenwriting, it's a lot more darker. It became like I had to like find a way to make it my own, because with those early days, like 99, 2000, it was a lot of influence, a lot of Tarantino. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I was doing things like that, but it was helping me kind of like get familiar with like the writing format. It was helping me get familiar with like, okay, all right, how to transition from a scene, cuts. I was reading screenplays. Like I had a computer right around that time that I started writing, and I would go to JoeBlow.com.
Shout out.
It looks completely different now than what it did like in 99. But I had a Windows 98, bro. I'm such a nerd. Like I got into a car accident with my mother, and I got some insurance money, and she asked me what I wanted. Like typical kid, like, yo, I want some J's. I was like, oh, I want a computer. Like straight up, like dead ass. So I got the computer. We had dial-up internet, so I would go to Joe Blow, and they had screenplays there, and you can download the screenplays and you can read them. So I would like read like a shitload of screenplays with just movies that I liked, like Being John Malkovich, L.A. Confidential, Memento. I would read all these screenplays of all these films that I loved, and I'd be like, oh, that's how they do it. Okay, right. So this format. Okay, Courier New. Okay, the size.
Oh, okay. So you were peeping like the entire.
Yeah.
Oh, like the structure of everything.
Yeah. And I was writing these things on Word, so I would like have to. If you know how a script is formatted, like so, when I got to the dialogue, it would be like tab, 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 name, and then enter, and then tab, 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 dialogue.
And you were doing this as a kid?
I was doing it as a kid.
Damn, dude.
So I was doing that.
Well, the rest of us were just like bullshitting around.
Well, I got laid too. Don't get me wrong. I did some fuck shit too. But yeah, I was a little nerd, man. That was kind of the things I did like when I wasn't like trying to look cool in front of my friends and stuff like that. Trying to like be the guy. Like when I was at home, when it was just family, like I was in my room chilling, either on the phone talking to whoever, or I was just like in the computer like researching stuff. Like just going in.
And your family supported it and everything. They were like, hell yeah,
yeah,
like, get
man.
I
felt so accomplished, bro. Like I would finish the script, and then I would walk out into the living room and be like, hey, I'm done with another one. My sister, rest in peace, she would read my scripts, and she would give me feedback and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool, man. I had a few people at school who would read my scripts as well. Girls, they loved it. They liked that I was a writer. That was cool. So I was like, yo, that was dope. It was dope. So I was like, all right, cool, man. This is something. So yeah, that was an aspiration. Then I found out how depressing like just screenwriting is, like because it's very isolating, which it's kind of like the same boat as content creating. So but that's kind of what I guess I'm conditioned to, So never really kicked off for me as far as like screenwriting. I sold the script like way back in the day for a very low amount of money, but nothing ever happened from it that I know. And then I tried to get back into the game about 5 years ago with this vampire script that I was working on. Got in contact with a few people, it just didn't surface. Then I wrote another script, nothing really happened with that. I think I submitted it to a few contests, got some feedback on it, but I never really redrafted it. By that time, I was like, all right, cool, let me work on this record instead. So I was just bouncing around from different things. If I wasn't doing this, I was doing that.
Constantly staying busy, just trying to do something.
Exactly.
So you were always trying to be like an entrepreneur, like, I want to, do something for myself, create something. Now, I'm kind of interested because I've never even really thought about it, but like, what does like selling a script entail? I know you said you reach out to people, but like you just go, I guess there's different sites that deal with that and things like that.
I think it's different. Like what I did was, this is so funny. Like I'll tell you about the last encounter I did with the vampire thing. Cause that was just me finding a Facebook thing or whatever like that. And I was just like, hey, read my script or something like that. I think I did something like that. Like, hey, read my script. And then someone read my script and then they DM me. It was a woman, I guess she worked for this production company. Her daughter's an actress.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, cool. They like my script, boom, boom, boom. So we started talking all these different actors that she knew, all this stuff like that. I was like, all right, cool, this is going down. But, things happen. I think financing got into the way of it. But that's how I was able to do that. There is no straight path to trying to answer that question.
It's just like reaching out, trying to find
It really
somebody.
is just networking, bro. And that's something that I'm trying to like get better at as well. Because like I said, starting it as young as I did, writing screenplays, like you said, everyone wasn't doing that at my age. So it's easier for me to work alone. But I'm challenging myself as far as like, man, I want to meet more like-minded people, more people in my niche, or more people that have their own niche that maybe we can find a way, kind of like what we're doing right now, right?
Yeah.
So I need to that's an opportunity for me as far as like getting better at networking. Like I've tried to bring people on to my channel, but I think at the end of the day, for the most part, as far as what Poster Shot is, at least for Poster Shot, I think what that is, I think it's better solo for what I'm doing with the channel. But I do want to at least have something to where I have, but I'm open-minded to the guest thing. I don't want to just like shut the door on that because I think that's a valuable thing. But I just think that, okay, all right, if I'm going to be this, because I've gotten people intimidated to come on sometimes because of like, dude, I don't know as much as you do. Like they'll look at my shit and they'll be like, oh, bro, I'm like, you don't have to go in like that. No, just say you like the movie. Some key points is what you like. You don't have to be like, oh yeah, this means this, and the chandelier means this, and this color means this. Nah, you don't have to be fucking like Sherlock Holmes with this. You know what I'm saying?
Just enjoy the movie.
Yeah. If I pick something up like that, if I nerd out and do something that meticulous, then sure, it'll be part of it. But yeah, if you just like how his head blew up when this guy shot him, then yeah, dude, say it. So yeah, I think I'm a little too heavy as far as how I do mine, and people think they have to come in with that same type of breakdown. It's not the case.
Yeah, and I can speak to that personally, because so Sean and I.
Oh, it's been multiple people, bro.
So he allowed me to come on his channel, and I thought it was cool because I didn't feel as much pressure. Like being a host for a podcast, it's like, all right, make sure you keep it going, keep this. But with that, it's just like we're just like shooting the shit about movies.
Yeah.
And I felt like a little intimidated at first because hearing your content, I'm like, oh, this man's going in with novels, and I gotta do some research, write down some things. But then like you get around you, and it's just it's real chill, a nice vibe. And I know that like you had basically got busy. We were trying to do Last of Us, and just a little side project. But I think it was a good thing because it was like a learning experience for me.
You know what? I don't think either one of us were comfortable doing that because we're not fans of Last of Us. So we're like, okay, right, shit. Like, we're going to miss something.
Yeah.
Someone's going to do this. Even me, with my analytical ass, I was like, okay, all right, I didn't do as much research with this. And I'm working with someone new because I did it with one show before, Scenes from a Marriage. Like, it would premiere on Sunday. I would watch it once, enjoy it, try to pick up some things. Second time, I'm just like into it, notebook, like writing shit down, picking up on key things, and then I'm going in on the video, and then I got it there. So I've done the fast track as far as like, oh, get there first on YouTube and get the hits, and those are my most popular videos there, right? But working with someone else, I didn't have the time to be like, okay, right, is it okay to, you know, keep somebody up at 4 a.m. the way that I did this? Because I know myself, I can get shit done. I'm gonna do this X, Y, Z. But yeah, it was different. And then I didn't give myself enough time to kind of like, okay, like watch it once, watch it twice, like break things down, analyze it. Or do I even want to analyze it in that way? Because I'm working with someone who's not as analytical. So there was just a lot of, like you said, learning experience, bro. Like there was a lot to learn. I had to learn a lot as far as what the approach was with it. But I don't think either one of us were comfortable. I like when we were doing From Dusk Till Dawn.
That one was fun. I was going to bring
awesome,
that up.
bro.
That was fun.
That was fucking cool.
See, because I was thinking if we ever do decide to like do a channel together, that's kind of the format I like.
I think that is
because it's not as much pressure. It wasn't,
bro. Because we both loved that film. It wasn't like we watched it tonight and now we want to talk about it and make sure we're on our shit with it because, you know, there's this whole crowd of like gamers who are like, hey, you didn't mention this. It's like, well, fuck, bro.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here, man. So I think with From Dusk Till Dawn, we had more fun because we both loved that film. We both seen it enough to where it's like, okay, all right, dude. Like, that's my favorite scene. That's my favorite character. She's hot. You know, like, you know,
Salma Hayek.
Yeah, whatever the case may be. So, yeah, I think if we had something of that format that we could tackle, I think it would be a lot more, not only like fluid, but it'll be fun as well.
Yeah,
it'll be a lot more fun.
Less pressure.
Yeah,
you know, like you said, we weren't on a time constraint because with The Last of Us, we would watch it, but it is late at night, and it's like, all right, you know, we gotta get this film out now, so that way we can spend, or you could spend all day editing, and then it's like, all right, if we don't get it recorded then, and we record it, it just pushes it back a day. Before you know it, you know, we turn around, it's the next episode.
Yeah. So. And that's the issue I had with Feint the Facts with my nephew, because I would like, I'm still trying to figure out how, what the best, I found what I want to do with that channel. I just haven't done it yet. Like I found it out end of January, and then February happened, and then like I started doing a whole bunch of other stuff. I told you about it off camera. But I started doing a whole bunch of stuff, so I was busy all February. But I think I finally figured out how Feint the Facts needs to go. It's just gonna take a lot of dedication that I'm like 80% there. But I need to be at 100 because there's a huge percentage that is still very much dedicated to poster shot, and just like, because poster shot is like my out. Like that's like I care about that a lot. Like it's like, all right, cool. These are movies I get to kind of reflect on. That I saw this film when I was 8. I'm now in my mid 30s. Like it's completely different looking at this film as from an 8-year-old to like someone who's in their mid 30s. Maybe it holds weight. Maybe I don't like this film anymore. So it's just like I don't know. I like that approach as far as how I'm doing it, as far as the nostalgia of it, what it's doing for me on like just on a fun tip. You know, I like when I'm editing and I'm like getting a scene and I'm making a point, and then it's just like it's fluid. It's like the movement of it is fluid. There's a few of those in this next video that I have coming up where it's like, okay, right, I made this point, and now it's there. Like, it's so cool, man. Like, when you, some of my ideas, man, that like they've been in my head for a very long time. I just haven't executed them out yet. So when you finally are in that moment of executing that idea, it's like so rewarding. Because it's like, okay, right, I've been mapping this out for like a week. Okay, right, I gotta get this, I gotta look at this, gotta make sure, I've always liked this, I just never, this wasn't the platform. Or I identified this about this when I saw it, but I didn't have all this. Now I can actually say it and share it with people. So it's like, oh, cool. And it came out. I shared that scene, my voiceover, right? So I don't know, man. It sounds fucking crazy what I'm saying right now, dude. But it's a reward. It's so fun.
Yeah,
to just to do stuff like that.
I get it, because same thing with the pod. You know, like I used to. I remember I had one microphone, and we would be like at my old apartment back in Lubbock, and I would just put one microphone in the middle of a building or in the room, and like would just film me and my friends talking. And I was like, that was kind of just the beginning of it. Like I knew I wanted to do it. I just didn't know how or really what it was I wanted to do. And with this, it's crazy because like I met someone like yourself. I'm meeting these musicians and it's like shit that I'm into. Like I'm into movies, music. I think I'm gonna have a couple tattoo artists on. Just
nice.
Just meeting people, man. I'm just into talking to people. If there's one thing I'm all right at, or at least good at, talking, like and listening and shit. So I think it's I understand where you're coming from. When you say like fulfilling and like,
yeah, dude, like that's I don't know. That's what just makes me happy, man. Like I like creating. Like I've always been writing, always been recording. Now I'm editing. I'm adding this to my arsenal as far as that. I mean, I've done editing in the past, but not like where it's like, okay, all right, cool. Like I'm really going in on this, or I'm really trying to tell a story here, or I'm trying to like, how do I piece things how do I get from A to B in this story? So it's pretty cool, man. I just like doing it. I've wanted to do YouTube for a while, or just content for a while. I just didn't have the space to do it. But now that, living a single life, I have the space, like this whole new world is opened up and it's like, okay, all right, cool. I got the space, kind of like the freedom, the stillness to like, okay, right, this is what I'm on right now.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
That's dope, man. And I guess to segue, you were talking about it earlier. Let's go into Feint the Facts. So that's dope because that's a family thing.
Yeah.
That's you and your nephew. Getting together and talking about something that you both enjoy, which is is it mainly boxing, or do y'all do any MMA, or is it?
It's mainly boxing.
Okay.
MMA has been in the conversation as far as me and him are concerned. We do have a friend, Brax, who is an MMA fighter, and we've covered him in brief on one of our episodes. But the overall goal, because Dejan grew up with him, he's now in MMA. Fighting for, I think it's it's PFC, which is like Peak Fighting Champion, and he's the champ right now. He has the belt. So I want to say he's like 5-1, and he's won like consistently. Just had a fight, whoop somebody. so yeah, like when I first saw him and my nephew told me about him, I was like, dude, I would like to do a documentary on that guy. Like, let me do a documentary. So, I chop it up with him sometimes on social media. We got the same likes. He's a horror fan. So I'm like, all right, cool, man. So we have some likes. Like I said, I care about what you're doing as far as your path. I'm interested to see how your story plays out. So yeah, I would like an opportunity to, like, as far as next step, like right now, majority of my stuff is like reviewing, analyzing. But as far as like getting an actual project that, hey, I shot this, I put the music together for this, or I got someone to put them, or I know someone who with music, and I told this story. This is a Sean Law film, directed by Sean Law. Like that's kind of like that would be the next thing for that, like a documentary, and he would be a perfect candidate for something like that.
That's dope. He's local here?
Story.
In Austin?
He's in San Antonio. I think he's coming back to Austin if he's not already back in Austin.
They just had a fight in San Antonio.
It was probably him whooping some ass. Like he just had a fight like a week or two ago, bro. Dude, and he bodied this guy.
Not to be off subject, but it's scary because like if you go out, you better watch out who you like bump into or like disrespect, because some of these guys are MMA fighters and they will whoop you in a parking lot.
I just look at the ears, bro, and I walk away.
Oh, if you see the cauliflower ear,
I check the ears, bro. I'm like, all right, your ears, all right, you whack, bro. I can wash you. But if you got them fucking I'm like, all right, bro, you got it. It's your girl.
I'm out of shape. I'm like, I'm cool with everybody, bro. I'm that guy. That's funny. Okay, so how long have you been a fight fan?
It's my whole life, bro. My nephew, and he'll say this. He's a fight fan because I'm a fight fan. Like I put him on fighting. Like whether it's just HBO boxing back in the day, grew up, Mike Tyson was the guy. Heavyweights were just the thing back in the 90s. Fight Night, playing that on PS, on PlayStation.
that was a
playing
fun game.
Yeah, playing Fight Night. We still play Fight Night. Right now, I was just at his house because he has the beta for this new game called Undisputed. So we were playing that. We were playing that, trying to get familiarized with that. But yeah, boxing's always been part of my life. I did a little bit of boxing, nothing professional, anything like that. But in school, we would go to the gym, get in the gloves. Hell, we get in the streets, get in the gloves. We did whatever, test each other out. But yeah, fighting's just always been there. It's just always been a thing. It's always been my favorite sport as far as competing goes. I'll choose that over football, basketball. Like, I like it when it's just like, okay, right, your offense and defense at the exact same time, and there's only me and you. What are you going to do about it? Like, I just like that. I think that's like the ultimate test for anybody competing. But not the shit on team sports, because those are important too. But boxing is where it's at. And I know MMA is coming up in the ranks. It's been coming up for the past 15, 20 years or so. But I'm old school, bro. Like, I'm always going to choose boxing first. I love MMA, and I follow that as well. But there's just something classic about boxing. It gets crapped on, and yeah, the promoters and all this stuff, they do a lot of like jinky promotions and pushing off fights. People don't want to fight each other. I get the noise there when it comes to boxing fans. But the craft itself, yeah, I'm never gonna turn back on that.
So, what do you think about the current state of boxing? Because I know, like you're saying, people shitting on it, like especially like with the Jake Paul and like the. Do you think they're hurting or helping the sport of boxing?
I think it's entertainment. I don't take it seriously.
You don't think it's like real?
I just don't take it seriously. Like a Phantom Punch versus Anderson Silva. Okay, a 45-year-old Anderson Silva. Like, I mean, and there's no disrespect to like the Paul brothers. Like, do your thing, get your bag. Like, I really don't care. It's entertaining. I watch the fights because I want to see what happens. So they're doing something, but when it comes down to like the actual craft, I'm not taking them seriously in that craft. Like, there's no way that I'm gonna take even Carl Froch, like, who is a legend, like getting called out by a Paul brother. I can't take that seriously because, I mean, Carl Froch, he still like he can whoop some ass, even at his age. That dude's a beast. I've watched him back in the day. He's a beast. But yeah, man, boxing is just, it's always been there, bro. And the current state right now, it's just entertainment. But I know how to separate the two. I know how to take, okay, right, these are real, like first class champions over here, and these are people who are, they know how to fight a little bit.
Amateur type.
Yeah, amateur fights. I would like to see, if he's serious about it, I would like to see Jake Paul continue doing what he's doing. Maybe get ranked, if he can, at some point. I mean, he just lost. He just lost.
There's a way he could
brother.
He could do that. He could like get up in your graces and be like, okay, this guy's serious. Like if he goes and like beats a couple of real boxers.
You gotta wash somebody who is major, bro. I mean, you lost to Tommy Fury, who is like, I mean, you got like less than 7 fights on your resume, so he's still kind of in that prospect range. So I just don't take them serious right now. Like, he's not gonna step. What's this weight class? I think what are they, light heavyweight? If they're light heavyweight, he's fighting Bivol, and he's not gonna beat Bivol. Bivol just watched Canelo, and you're talking Canelo with like. Canelo and Jake Paul, who you think will win that? Who you think will win that fight?
How
bro?
old is Canelo now? I feel like he's been
he's like 35, 36, but he'll whoop his ass, bro. So,
how old is like really old in boxing? Like, because I know like for basketball, like LeBron, he's getting like, dude, how are you doing this at this age? What about for boxing? Great
question, man. I've had this argument, and I think that we are. It's not like Michael Jordan smoking cigars like as soon as he gets off the court, right? It's like these guys are like, they get off the court, they go eat salmon, or they go to the gym and they work out. Like, they eat well. They're eating better now, so I can see longevity now than what I could back then. So back then, I would say you're old when you're like hitting that 35 range. It's time to give it up. Now, you can get to that 38. Someone like a LeBron, I can see him playing till like 40, 41. But like even Chris Paul is 38 right now. He's playing for the Suns.
It's just like a level of taking care of your body eating better.
Yeah. It's not like I said, like back then, like in the 80s, 70s, 80s, they were doing coke off the court. In the 90s, they're smoking cigars, popping champagne. Now they're just like, you know, Mamba mentality, man. Go to the gym, eat right, you know, don't mess around, you know, just do it right. And then you get the results. Like that's that Kobe mentality, man.
What's one of the oldest boxers right now that's still like a threat to, you know?
Older boxer that's a threat. I'm drawing a blank. Someone probably gonna call me out who's a boxing fan, whoever's watching this. Older who's a threat. I would say like anyone. I think we just call him out. Canelo's still a threat. Triple G is still a threat, and I think he's 40 years old. I think Triple G has a fight coming up. Triple G, I think he was in my top 5 last I checked. I think he may have slid out of my top 5. He might be in that number 6 range right now, but that's another topic. Wilder, he is like 37 years old, still knocking people out.
Damn.
You know?
That's crazy, man. Just like getting beat up by a 40-year-old dude, just
Dude,
whooping your ass.
B-Hop, Bernard Hopkins, man. I remember back in the day, he was 42 years old, and he beat the current champion. He beat the guy that beat him twice. So Hopkins, he had like a 21 defense title streak, right? Like in the middleweight division for 21 straight the title defenses. That's like the record. He finally lost to Jermaine Taylor. Fought Jermaine Taylor again, lost again in the rematch. Jermaine Taylor fights this kid out of Ohio named Kelly Pavlik and gets washed. And I think he gets washed twice. I think they had 2 fights. I think he got his rematch clause, lost that. So now Kelly Pavlik, 26 years old, fighting 42-year-old Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins washed that motherfucker, dude. All 12 rounds, bro. Cleaned him up the whole fight.
I think it was more like the experience had a lot to play with that. Just,
Of course.
Yeah.
It was all experience, man. It was classic B-Hop. Like that's like a classic Bernard Hopkins fight.
I used to watch boxing when I was a kid because like all my uncles would come over and like they'd have pay-per-view. I think they're big Oscar De La Hoya fans and stuff like, we're Spanish. So
Oscar was dope. I remember I went to my homeboy, he was Spanish. Went to his party. We're all in the garage watching the TV. And it's just like, I'm like the only black guy there. It was Bernard Hopkins versus De La Hoya. It was the fight where De La Hoya went down in the 9th round, body shot. I think it was a liver shot. I'm the only one like cheering. I'm like, yeah. I look around, everyone looking at me. I'm like, yo, bro, let's go, man, before I get my ass whooped up in here. It was freaking hilarious, bro. But yeah, man, big on De La Hoya too. Like I remember back in the day, the top 3, it was De La Hoya, Trinidad, Mosley. Like those were like the 3 names to kind of watch in like the late 90s, early 2000s in that weight class. Roy Jones, back in the day coming up. Of course, Mayweather. Yeah.
It's fun, man. I watched my first boxing match in a while this last Saturday. It just ran, I was like, the games were over. Like,
you talking about the Benavidez plant fight? Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, man. And I was like, damn, I forgot how much fun this was. Because I kind of, transferred over to UFC and started watching that. I'm not like an analyst. I couldn't tell you any of that, but it's fun.
Why can't you just do both, bro?
Right. Well, I do. I
enjoy both.
I just never I never hear about the boxing matches. You know what I'm saying? Like UFC, it's plastered all over ESPN. It'll come in, and then this is the first one I seen. And honestly, the only reason I watched it is there was a UFC fight on, and then I think it right after it ended, it jumped over to the boxing. Mm-hmm. Oh shit, more fights. Let's go. And then I was like, yeah, I forgot how much fun it was. But yeah, it is fun to watch, man. All right, man. Let's talk a little bit about the music. So we covered the other aspects of what you're doing, screenwriting, and I know you called this out earlier that at the same time you were doing that, you were also kind of getting into the music. So you have 3 projects out now. What are the titles? It's
First one is Deep Well. Second one is Blood. And the last one is 80 Proof.
hell yeah, man. And kind of what influenced your style of hip hop? Like, who were you growing up listening to? I know Nas probably is one of them because you kind
Nas
of
is number one.
Yeah?
For sure. He's the guy. His style, his flow, storytelling, attention to detail in his lyrics. It's kind of like what I've always gravitated towards. Yeah, man, I've said enough about Nas on my channel as far as like his influence on me. So yeah, probably the same story as far as like how I got introduced to him. It was just the Street Dreams cassette tape that my dad had. My dad had the single, popped that in. If I Were the World was on the B side, and was my introduction to Nas. This had to be like '96 when all this was going down. So yeah, Nas, Pac were kind of my influences. There's no Pac influence in my music that I think you would identify listening to me. So just to kind of like go back to your question, Nas, Doom, Jay Electronica.
that's a good one.
Yeah, I like. There's something in Earl Sweatshirt. He wasn't an influence, but he's pulling from the exact same cloth that I'm pulling from. So I admire his work as well, because it's more same thing like Billy Woods, Ka. So all these different artists, they're like minimalist type of artists, off kilter artists. I put Aesop Rock in that boat as well. You know, kind of like esoteric lyrics where you have to be there to know exactly what he's talking about. Like you got to decode what he's saying. And I'm not that too deep into it where like I'm advanced to that level to where you got to decode all my lyrics. But as far as the style go, for Deep Well at least, if you notice, all the songs are like, majority of the songs are like in that minute and a half, under 2 minute kind of range.
Yeah, they're like quick hitters.
Yeah, they're like these little they're like these soliloquies. Kind of thing, and that's the format of Doom. That's the format of like the early Jay Electronica stuff that I was like listening to. I would say Jay Electronica is the biggest influence as far as how that album is laid out, as far as like, you know, getting cut off on certain verses or the DIY. That's why I like DIY. I've done all my albums in house, no producer, no mixer. I'm just like, you know what? I want this to be as raw as possible. Because outside of rap, hip hop, there are other like rock influences that I have or folk influences that I have that have also kind of like given me appreciation for like DIY, lo-fi music. So I got an appreciation for lo-fi. I like hearing the hiss in the back, like early Wu-Tang stuff.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, dude, it's like, okay, right, I want it to sound dirty, you know. Blood, it was trying to be a little bit more cleaner, a little bit more, okay, right. I'm gonna keep it still on that lo-fi aesthetic, but I'm gonna make contemporary songs sound lo-fi. So that's where Blood comes in. A lot of losses during that time, lost some friends, some family members during that record. So that record kind of stands on that as far as like that loss. But the songs are more conventional than Deep Well are. So Deep Well, I was just going for like quick hits. Blood, I was going for, okay, all right, this is an actual song. 80 Proof, that's like, yo, I'm making a concept record. Like there's a concept here. If you pay attention to everything that's going on, there's a flow here, there's a message, there's a concept. There's like an A side and a B side. It's very cassette driven. It's very 80s driven. As far as some of the influences I'm pulling from, like I'm pulling from Bret Easton Ellis's. I'm pulling from Bret Easton Ellis as an influence, which I just did a video on Less Than Zero. So Bret Easton Ellis has always been an influence on me as far as like books and growing up on like films that his books were adapted into. Let me see. Knight of Cups was a big role into it. Like anything that dealt with like nihilism, excess, Decadence, anything that dealt with that was kind of like the centerpiece of 80 Proof. And that was going to be, okay, the story I'm telling here, here's the downfall of this character, but there's a light at the end of this tunnel kind of thing that's going on. So yeah, if you listen to 80 Proof, I was at least attempting to give you something in a concept format.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, I didn't get to like go through and like analyze everything, but I do, you know, for all my guests, I want to jam your shit, you know, I want to support. And I had it in the car. I was cleaning up the crib, you know, doing everything that you kind of just do, have music in the background. And it's crazy because I was flipping through each of your albums and you literally just hit it out the park. You answered pretty much all my questions before I asked them. But yeah, man, like they're different, but they're still I could tell that, oh yeah, that's Sean. Like that's definitely him. And that's cool that you bring up Earl Sweatshirt because literally he came to my mind,
that's my
at least
guy.
on your earlier work. Because it like, you ever heard his album? I think it's like Some Rap Songs or something like that.
Yeah, man.
That's
that
what it
album is
reminded me
crazy.
of.
That album is dope. Like, that's what I'm saying. We're on the same wavelength. Like, I did this song. It's on Deep Well. I did this song called, it's called Bootleg. It used to be called Cakewalk. It was called Cakewalk for the longest, but now it's called Bootleg. Like, that is like, when I first heard some rap songs, I was like, yo, that reminds me of what I did back then. That's so cool. So like I said, we're operating from the same kind of wavelength. So I admire his work, man. Whatever he's doing, he's doing a great job, man.
Yeah, he's like a recluse. He'll come out and drop an album and then, you know, wait 3 years.
same way, man. Like I said, I keep very small circle around me. Like very like small, tight knit group of friends. But like I said, I'm trying to give myself that opportunity. Like I need to venture out more as far as networking from a content creation standpoint. So that's the part where I need to get more because, you know, circle of friends aren't really creating content. So it's like, all right, well, I'm not going to grow with you in this way.
Yeah.
I need to grow in some way. So I need to venture out and kind of like, you know, put myself out there a little bit more and be like, okay, all right, cool. Like, where are the nerds that are on this wavelength? Because it ain't just me. Like, I'm not just like, yeah, I'm unique, but I'm not this unique to where it's like I'm the only one that thought this or, oh, I'm the only one that grew up watching this particular movie. There are other people out there. They just got to find my channel and I got to start looking for them as well.
Yeah, just start doing things that kind of put you in the room with these people, you know. They probably got film festivals, you know, just putting yourself in that type of.
I mean, we're in Austin, man. So I got to like, I'm going to find something to where whatever the next big film thing is, I guess, I'll check that out and then just do some networking there. It's just been busy trying to find time, create content, find time. But like I said, those are all just excuses. Like it's about just getting to that next level. So, but yeah, man, I like where I'm at right now, and I like the options. I like the options I have.
Do you see yourself working on another album or some more music, or are you kind of like leaning more into the content creation, or maybe doing a little bit of both?
I recently got asked to work on a musical project. I'm kind of up in the air with it. It was, 3 years since the last project? I think I'm kind of chilling right now. I mean, I'm always writing. There's always something. I'm always listening to beats. So I'll never say never, but I don't know. I'm one of those artists. Like, I can be one of those artists that, like, drop something, then disappear for 5 years. You know, like what Maxwell does. Like, Maxwell does it. Frank Ocean does it. Like, what's the rush? Like, there's other things going on in life. So, yeah, I'm not quick to get to it. I'm open to it, but just, like, there's no concept. There's nothing inspired me right now as far as, like, yo, I need to make this record as of right now. Right now, I'm more inspired with the content creation, networking, stuff like that. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Hell yeah, man. Well, if you do, you know I'm gonna be jamming it. So
no doubt. Appreciate the support, man. Appreciate the invite to the podcast, man. It's been one hell of a, like I said, it's been one hell of a ride so far, man. With the poster shot, I hope you get everything you're getting because I think you're doing great things as far as connecting with people. So just keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, Sean, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming by again. And like I said, guys, I'm gonna have all of his stuff. YouTube channels, music links, support the homie, and support the pod. Peace.
Let that trunk pop and that bass knock, cause I'm southern. Yeah, I got a dope flow like no other. Fuck your handshake, we ain't brothers. Fuck your last tape, I got 4 bars that'll lock me up for your murder. All I take is 1 rhyme, 1 punchline. I'm the big bad bully in the lunch line. Bill Withers was right about your career, there ain't no sunshine. Sit back and watch sunshine, yeah. You can hate, but I don't mind. I flow so deep and I got good credit. What the fuck I need a cosign? Costa Nostra, La Familia. Lost my brother, now I'm back to kill ya. Can't see his face, but I got a spirit, and I put it all over this track. Can you hear it? Yeah, can you hear it? Yeah, can you hear it?